Greetings again everyone, and today I'm back in Tokina land for one of their newer prime lenses, the Fi RIN 20mm f2 FE-AF. This lens comes in manual focus and autofocus flavours. I tested the autofocus version here, and it's currently only for Sony's E-mount mirrorless cameras, full frame or aps-c. Its price seems to fluctuate a little bit, but you can find it for about $700 or $800 or around £600 in the UK, which is about what you'd expect for a good quality autofocus prime lens these days. The manual focus version of the lens costs a little less, as you'd expect. It's a lens that's been generally well received, even winning the odd award or two, so let's put it through its paces. I'd like to thank Tokina for loaning me a copy of this lens for a few weeks, although as usual this is a totally independent review. 20mm is one of my favourite focal lengths. Technically it's an ultra wide angle, so it adds a bit of drama and a nice broad background to your images, useful for landscape photography, but it's not such a wide angle that it's difficult to compose your pictures. It's such a useful focal length, especially as I said for landscape but also for architecture photography. Its maximum aperture of f2 is nice and bright for astrophotography as well, and for getting slightly out of focus backgrounds if you move in close enough to your subject. Well, let's check out its build quality first. The lens is reasonably small, but very metallic and a little weighty at around 450 grams, about a pound. It's based on a metal lens mount without any visible weather sealing. The only control point on the lens is a manual focus ring, which is also made of metal and turns pretty smoothly. It responds well with the lens's focus motor, although as you can see here, a fair bit of focus breathing is visible. The image zooms out a bit as you focus more closely. The autofocus motor works quite quickly and accurately, as you can see, and makes a quiet whooshing sound as it works. It takes a moment to fully lock on to your subject, but honestly, I think it's the best autofocus system I've seen in a Tokina lens so far. The lens's filter thread size is 62mm in diameter, and it comes with a small plastic hood. Overall, the lens is small and very well made. You get the impression it'll take quite a few knocks, and it's small enough to take wherever you go. Now, onto image quality. Let's start on a full frame camera, my 42MP Sony A7R II. In-camera corrections are turned on. In the middle of the image, we see razor sharp picture quality with excellent contrast. The corners are softer with a little ghosting, but there's still enough resolution there to be usable. f2.8 looks about the same. At f4 we see dramatically more contrast though, and a little more sharpness. f5.6 and f8 see further minuscule improvements, leading to very good corner image quality. As usual, stop down as far as f16 or f22 and the image gets softer due to the effect of diffraction. Overall, it's a good performance from the lens on a full frame camera, although if you want properly sharp corners you will have to stop down to f4 or so. Now let's test the lens on an aps-c camera, my little 24MP Sony A5100. Sharpness in the middle remains excellent straight from f2. The corners are still softer at that brightest aperture though. However, stop down to f2.8 and they sharpen up quite nicely, and at f4 and f5.6 they look excellent. So it's a slightly better performance on an aps-c camera. The corner image quality looks a little sharper now, so it'll be a very good choice for people shooting on cropped sensor cameras. Let's have a look at distortion and vignetting on a full frame camera. In-camera corrections are turned off in these images. The lens projects just a little barrel distortion here in a slight moustache pattern, but nothing really noticeable in normal shooting. Vignetting is a little heavy at f2, unsurprisingly. Stop down to f2.8 and those corners get a little brighter, but that's as bright as they stay, even if you stop the lens down further. So you should at least keep your corner shading compensation turned on here. This lens's minimum focus distance is 28cm, not especially close to be fair, but the good news is that close-up image quality remains as sharp as at normal distances, even when shooting at f2. Now let's see how the lens works against bright lights. Generally, it does pretty well. There is some visible flaring, but not much, it's pretty faint. And while we're working in the dark, let's take a quick look at chroma levels. Here's that star field picture. At f2, we can see that the corner image quality is still a little soft, but we're not really seeing chroma smearing, so that's a good result. Finally, bokeh. Tokina's wide-angle lenses are not generally known for the quality of their bokeh, but this one is okay. It's reasonably smooth in most situations, although with a little outlining occasionally. So then, overall, this little 20mm f2 lens is probably my favourite Tokina optic that I have tested so far. It does almost everything well. Its corner image quality could be a little bit sharper at the brightest apertures, but its build quality, autofocus system, excellent central sharpness and good colours and contrast and low distortion all combine to make it a very nice performer. And that's not to mention the fact that a 22mm f2 lens is pretty fun and useful to use in all kinds of situations, so this one definitely comes recommended. I hope you've enjoyed this review, found it helpful. I really enjoy putting them together. If you'd like to support the channel and keep these reviews trucking on, then take a look over on my Patreon page. For $3 a month you can get exclusive bonus content every month. So yeah, check it out and take care. God bless.